Hello everyone, here is Chapter 2 to the Hangman's Gallow series. I hope you're enjoying my story series so far. Truth of Darkness. There was a strange feeling that had overcome me as we reached downtown. Maggie, of course, seemed not to notice dancing along the radio. How about a bite to eat? We got some time before we need to go talk to Lady Rose. Maggie only nodded before giving me a worried look. Sure sounds good. I won't lie. I'm kind of nervous to speak with Lady Rose. I mean, you heard the stories about her and Lily, right? There wasn't one person who hadn't heard that story, but most said that Lady Rose had made a deal with the devil, giving her immortality, while agreeing to give up a soul to him in exchange every few years to keep her youth. Of course I heard it, but you know I don't believe Lady Rose actually did such a thing. Some people just seem to never age. True, look at some of the rich and famous and they always look youthful. But of course the camera and makeup can really be the answer to that. I laughed. Maggie was always wanting to be an actress all her life. She was always reading and learning, everything from acting to makeup. She always seemed to be interested when it came to fashion. Well then, I guess maybe you could say the same about Lady Rose. Makeup mostly to give her that youthful look. She gave me a smile before we pulled into drive of Betty Diner. Hey, maybe we can order out, I'd rather not eat inside. I knew the real reason why she didn't want to, but I only agreed, telling her to wait in the car. The inside of the diner was busy as normal. Almost all the tables had been full. Hey Liz, just you today? I think I can get your table for you. Robin gave me a sweet smile. No, just wanted to place an order to go today. I'm kind on the job myself. I watched as she walked away before finding a nearby chair overlooking the park. Maggie wasn't the only one nervous. I admit this. Would be my first time talking to Lady Rose. I remember Vincent telling me a story about how Lady Rose once owned a shop in town. She would read your fortune through tarot cards or a large crystal ball. She seemed to keep her business going for a few years, but even successful periods can end. He recalled her being forced to shut down after a customer had been found dead in their home. From what was told, a grim fate would befall them. Of course, it was just a big joke, laughing and making fun of Lady Rose. I stopped remembering that it was just a few months before Vincent had taken over the paper. My eyes went wide now. I understood why he hated Lady Rose. We got one club special with a Coke and burger meal without the pickles, of course, with sweet tea. Robin only looked worried as I seemed to space out thinking about Vincent's story. Oh, thanks, Robin. Have a good day. I know that look, she didn't know how to react to me. She only smiled before quickly returning to work. I rushed back to the car, almost feeling foolish. How did I let myself be the weird girl again? Oh, good. I was beginning to wonder. Oh, that smells good. You okay, Liz? You look pale. I only laughed, trying to shake off the panic in my mind. Oh, I just spaced in front of Robin. Poor girl, she seemed to just run away after I got our stuff. I was thinking about a story Vincent told me about Lady Rose. And of course, Robin must have been calling my name as I just stood there. Maggie only shook her head at me, knowing I had a habit of just tuning out the world. Call it a way to escape from me. We drove to the nearby park and sat watching the lake. So what do you think will become of talking to Lady Rose? I mean, beside getting a side of the legend we hadn't heard. I don't know. But I heard she didn't like visitors very often, which shocked me she even agreed to talk to us. There was no doubt in mind that Maggie was right, since the town had driven her away into the country. I didn't blame her for not trusting anyone who lived in town anymore. The rest of the afternoon we walked, letting our food settle. The gentle wind danced around us, almost making me smile. Once back in the car, I sat back looking at the keys. An odd fear filled my mind like dread. I shook it off again before pulling into drive. Maggie had fallen asleep once we hit the edge of town. I kind of enjoyed the quiet around me, as the forest showed on either side of the rocky roads. Again, my mind seemed to wander back to Vincent's father and how Lady Rose seemed to fit into all of it. I had never truly stopped to think that the customer was... I pushed it from my mind. For now, I would focus on Lady Rose. We drove for 2 hours before the old wooden cabin came into view. Holy shit, that is her home. Okay, this looks like a... I know Maggie from a horror movie. We arrived at the gate where an old intercom sat. The rusty gate made me panic again, reaching up and pushing the button, only hearing static before an odd voice came over the intercom. "Who is it? Please leave this place." We both looked unsure before I spoke up. "Hello, my name is Liz Val. I called you a few hours ago." Static seemed to fill the intercom, making me cover my ears. "Just stay right there. I'm sending someone out." Her voice gave a cold tone, of course. Again, I understood why she would even be unsure of us. Maggie froze, almost trying to catch her breath. "It's okay, Maggie, just let me do the talking, okay?" She only nodded before she pointed to a tall, slender figure opening the gate. The girl looked no younger than 7 as she waved us inside. "Hello, you must be Lily. We're here to see your mother." She didn't speak, just held out her hand, pointing. To my purse, I was confused before she made a square with her hands, pointing back the purse. "I think she wants some ID, most like her mother's request. I guess she just wants to make sure we are who said we are." Me and Maggie handed our ID over to the little girl. She seemed to study us for a few minutes before nodding and giving the IDs back. "Thank you." She didn't smile, just waved toward the house. I pulled my car into park, seeing Maggie looking at the yard. We walked following Lily, noticing the odd symbols and junk that laid about the yard. We soon were invited into the house. The first thing I noticed was the heavy musk smell. Almost seemed to overtake me and Maggie. Sit, thank you, Lily, now go play." Lady Rose was beautiful. In her old age, she still walked with a cane, almost trying to keep her balance. "Sorry about the security, but I can't be too careful nowadays. You see, I don't like, well, visitors, but I knew you needed me, Liz Val." I froze. Her words alone made me wonder, "Do you know why I'm here then?" She only smiled before calling for Lily, pointing into the kitchen before the little girl walked out. I had a dream about someone who was haunted by something very heavy on her mind. "I know you are here to learn about the murder and the legend. Most would think I'm just a crazy old woman, but I do have real power to see into someone's life." Maggie's eyes seemed to go wide, only I wasn't sure about her words. I mean, what person would know what I wanted before I spoke? She only smiled at my confusion before Lily sat down a tray of tea and cups. "You're a non-believer, Liz?" I found that hard to believe. "How do you explain the odd findings of the murder?" "But I know you're here to learn about Mercy Evans. Such a sad story, and yet you only heard the lies." Rizpoint had been hiding something about the legend since I was kid. There always something off about what was told, how everyone tried to play it off like the tale was just a bedtime story. "Yes, that's why I'm here. Mercy seems to be in every part of this murder. I want to believe that, Lady Rose. I just don't understand how a 16-year-old girl could be the center focus in all of this." She only offered a cup before sitting down in her chair. Lily's small figure sat by her as she played with odd-looking dolls. "How much is there to the story we know from the town?" "Not much. Just the basic information, really. The Evans were in fact living on a farm away from the settlement. And do you know why they lived so far from the world? Girls?" Maggie and I both looked confused by her question. I would think that they lived so far due to the importance of making sure the land was good for growing crops and raising their livestock. Well, I do recall my mother saying that they were witches. They just practiced white magic, you know, good spells of protection and keeping anything evil away. Lady Rose seemed to smile once more as she clapped her hands in Maggie's direction. "Your friend is right. They were witches that way. They lived so far from everyone. The judge knew of their practices and made a deal that he would keep it quiet if they agreed to provide half their crops for the settlement." We talked for hours as she explained so much that the legend didn't say, only in the early evening. She seemed to become panicked. "Thank you for talking with us, Lady Rose. I'm truly sorry for all you had to go through. But I hope me and Maggie show that town hasn't changed our open minds." She only nodded before grabbing my hand. "Before you go, please take this box and key. Inside is a special notebook written by Mercy herself. Don't open it until you are safe in your home." Lily walked back to the front gate as she watched our car go back onto the road. She only waved, giving us a weak smile. Maggie was quiet as we drove home. I couldn't get my mind off of the box, knowing I had something very important that could change the story. "Are you sure you don't want my company tonight? I could always call into work." "I know your mother. She would know you're lying. I'll be fine. Thanks for coming with me today." She only smiled before grabbing her bag and heading up her drive. I knew she wanted to help me so bad. Only I knew it was best that she didn't get into the story too deep. I arrived home late into the evening, feeling tired and worn out. Still, my mind was too busy thinking about the box. The box itself was a light oak carved into the top was 3 rings that interlooped, and the center a full moon. Her words filled my head once again. I wasn't sure how a notebook could need to be protected so badly. What is truly the reason? I mean, it's just a harmless notebook. Grabbing the key, I noticed the same moon on the end. It cold, metal feeling strange in my hand. Placing the key into the hole, my hand shook. For whatever reason, I fear what may happen if I should not be careful. Once I heard the click, I slowly opened the box, the notebook's cover bound in faded brown leather. I had no clue if it was just my mind playing tricks on me, but I felt a strong vibe coming from the notebook. "Come, Liz, what are you so afraid?" I could describe what I was feeling as not just dread but sadness, like I felt alone and lost. Gently taking the notebook into my hands, I opened it and looked through the pages, only confused as each one was blank. What the fuck? This is just an empty notebook. I froze, feeling upset. Had I been fooled into thinking she was being truthful? I just want to learn the truth, know why the town is making up false stories. I felt almost sick as my head started to pound, the greatest pain ripping through my body as I fell to my knees. I cried out for only a few minutes. My hand burning like wildfire, I could breathe again as I sat against my counter. The leather-bound book laid beside me. I had noticed something odd on the cover. The same symbol burnt into the leather. Reaching out for the book, I let it rest in my lap, only confused as words formed onto the pages. Whatever had happened, I didn't know. Quickly, I placed the notebook back into the box, fear filling my mind. All through the night, I couldn't sleep. Only odd dreams seemed to plague me. Images of dark woods and a small farm stood before me. I could feel an odd winter chill around me as the smell of smoke filled my lungs. I tried to run, but I couldn't move. The panic raised into my chest before I noticed black figure standing before me. I screamed out, hoping someone would hear me. Only thing I felt was my body falling before I woke, hitting my floor. I groaned, feeling sore, rubbing my head. I must have stayed there for a few moments trying to calm myself. I felt fear, but not my own, like I was someone else. I recalled the notebook and how it seemed to react when I touched it. This was the first time that I started to believe there was something more out in the world. Quickly getting dressed, I rushed downstairs and placed the box before me again, feeling the old leather-bound cover in my hand. I waited, but nothing this time. Had I been dreaming this all along? "Liz, you're going insane." I stopped, only feeling an odd coldness around me. "Open the book, know the truth, and help me." I froze as that ghostly voice seemed to echo around the room. "Mercy, is that you?" Again the voice spoke, but only repeated the same words. Once again, "Open the book, know the truth, and help me." I didn't know what to think as I just obeyed the request, opening the book. Indeed, the words still filled the pages. I could feel an odd sense of stillness around me. Turning to the first page, I sat back, almost feeling a strange pull. A bright light seemed to blind me as the words started to glow. "What's going on? Trust me. Know the truth of what happened," I cried out as the light filled the room. Only for a few moments before a cold chill went down my back. Opening my eyes, I stood at the entrance of a small farm. The land seemed still as the small flakes fell from the sky. "Hello? Is anyone here? Where am I?" "Father, please come inside. You caught a cold. Mother is worried about you." A 16-year-old girl ran past me, her hair black as night, but she was beautiful looking on with dark green eyes. She wore a heavy coat around her shoulders, showing a faded red and white dress upon her slender figure. "Well then, help get the food onto the cart. I have a long trip in the morning." Her upturned expression only made him smile. "I still don't understand why you bow to him. We need that food more than the settlement does. Mercy, you know what he will do if we don't keep the deal. I can't have him harming any of us." I watched as she grew quiet. There was fear in her eyes. Whoever they were talking about certainly let him have control over their lives. I watched them both walk toward the old cabin as I stood looking back at the cart. It was full of crops and firewood. So much food they have to give up? Even the firewood seemed a bit much. Wait. I knew then who they were talking about, the judge. I recalled Lady Rose telling us about the deal they made to keep the truth from being known. You see, my family was not evil. We were like everyone else trying to survive in this world. Mercy's ghostly figure stood before me, her faded eyes and rope marks around her neck. How is this possible? I was just in my apartment. You wanted to know the truth, so I let you see it with your own eyes. They are just memories, so no one can see you or hear you. She looked back at the house before grabbing my hand. The coldness of her skin made me uneasy. What do you see, Liz? What do your eyes see? I saw her family sitting at a table eating a hot meal, barely enough to even keep them healthy. This is horrible. You barely had any food to live off of, Mercy. Just how much did you get to keep? She looked sad as she pointed toward 3 large boxes that sat next to the stove. My heart fell as I now knew they truly were risking everything to keep the judge away. Come, I have another memory that you must see. It's the only way you will understand the suffering we had to undertake. Again, a bright light blinded me as the sound of whispers filled my ears. I now stood in the settlement as Mercy and her father traveled toward a large wooden home. The cart came to a stop as a short, older man waved at them. He disappeared into the house as Mercy looked scared. Luca, aren't you late? I thought we agreed you would be here hours ago. The judge was a tall, slender man. His long hair tied back in a ribbon, but was the cold stare that made me understand why everyone feared him so much. Forgive me, truly, we had some trouble with the road, they're icing over. I nearly lost control of the cart, but I assure you that everything is fine, and the settlement will be good through the winter. The judge clicks her finger as 2 members of the council start to unload the cart. Well, I guess I can forgive you this time, but you must be careful in the next trip. I won't let this go, Luca. You will have to make up for your lateness. I wanted to scream out and save them, but she was right, they couldn't hear me. The next trip I want double what we agreed upon. That shouldn't be a problem, right? Mercy looked upset, but her father only gave a worried look. Of course, Judge, that won't be a problem. It just may take more time to fill. I don't see how that is my problem, Luca. I guess we break the deal and... Mercy watched as her father panicked quickly, falling to the judge's feet. Please know I will do whatever you want. Just leave my family in peace like we agreed. I don't mean anything bad, just asking for more time. The judge almost looked pleased by his display before kicking him to the ground. What a shameful display in front of the whole settlement. I doubt you need more time. You have until next winter as always. Now go before I change my mind. Her father slowly stands, watching the sea of eyes around him. Again, a bright light forms around me as I awake, the notebook falling onto my apartment floor. I could, my heart racing as I looked around, my whole body weak as I laid back looking at the ceiling. What horrible things. What the hell happened to me? I felt strange, almost like fire, rising in my chest, filling my lungs with smoke. I choked and gagged, trying to breathe. Finally feeling peace after a few minutes, I could stand, not sure what just happened or what the hell I saw. But Mercy was trying to show me the truth. Writing everything I had learned in my notes, I recalled the images of the judge as an odd rage filled my head. I spent the afternoon looking up anything that would explain what I had gone through. I felt odd, wondering how a notebook could cause me so much pain. Wait, there is someone who knows. I had only one answer. Lady Rose would possibly be the best person to ask, after she did give me the notebook in the first place. Driving back into town, I couldn't get my mind off of what I saw. Mercy and her family were just trying to live like the rest, their crops being given to the settlement in exchange for their life to be hidden from the world. Why does my body still burn? A faint pain would stab at my body, but the worst part was where it seemed to collect in my arm. Arriving at the back roads, I was glad to see the town in my rear-view mirror. There was so much that I hated them for mainly giving the Evans a bad name. Pulling up the gate, I reached for the button, but shocked as the gate came open, Lily waving from the drive. Did your mother know I was coming? The little girl only pointed toward the house before, smiling at me. I followed her inside again. That musky smell filled my nose, only making me feel sick. I was led into a large room with a huge bay window overlooking the tree line. There was something unsettling about those trees, and yet I didn't know why. "Ah, Liz, I expected to see you again. Did you touch the notebook?" What the hell happened? I saw things, horrible things, and Mercy. I could hear her still in my head. She only sat down looking out the window. The stillness of the room made me uneasy. Then I was right. You see, I gave you that notebook. Could I know you had something special inside you? A connection that would awaken that book. Mercy had connected herself with you. I stopped thinking about the first time I touched the leather book. No wonder I felt so strange. Mercy had reached out to me. What does that mean? I'm so confused and scared, but I feel it's not me, but Mercy's fear and rage I'm feeling. Offering me some tea, she only waited as I accepted the cup. "Drink this, you'll feel better." I understand your confusion, Liz, but I don't think you see why Mercy is able to connect with you. I don't. But the things her family had to do in order to save Safe with the judge. What a horrible man he was. She drew close to me now, almost as she was looking for something. "May I see you, arm?" "My arm, why?" I agreed as she pulled up my sleeve, only making me jump back before I noticed the same symbol burnt into my arm. "You're truly the one. I had hoped the bloodline hadn't died. Where are my manners? You look confused. Liz, how much do you know about your family?" I was lost as she just pointed back toward the symbol once again. I was adopted. My foster family took me in. My real mother died when I was young. What does that have to do with this? She only grabbed my hand, knowing I was unable to accept the truth. Well, that symbol means your family had ties with the Evans. Either way, you should look into your family tree. You will be shocked at what you found. But what does the symbol even mean? I know she is connected with me, but why do I feel strange? She only sat back now, letting me think. I had been able to see through her eyes. All the horror that had happened in those memories. She gave me the ability to see into the past. Maybe anyone's past. This is all so odd. She stood, now walking over, grabbing something off a table. "It's not a curse, Liz. You always had that ability. Mercy had helped you awaken it. Now you can bring peace to the town and to the Evans. Maybe even give Mercy a reason to rest forever." I only spent another hour talking with Lady Rose. The drive home was quiet. I had so much to figure out, and yet I knew in my heart what I had to do.